Now, about 5 minutes later, I fixed this issue. Let me show you what happened. And let me show you that with this prompt that I wrote. This is the last prompt. If you recall, in the previous video, it was saying that it had some incorrect imports and it fixed that. Then it told me to redeploy and try it again, and I get the same error. And I told it I had the same error. I was more specific, obviously. I didn't just say I have an error. But it started fixing it, and the fix was, look at this. It found this successfully fixed user query client not defined, and it found that the crash was happening because several components were using this function, and it can be only used inside components that are wrapped in whatever. So the fix was updated 6 components to use direct query client imports instead of the hook, meaning that it completely just undid everything that it did in the previous one, because the previous one was to get rid of the multiple query imports. And so now it added specific imports, which is just strange, right? So I asked it, does that mean there are multiple imports of it now in different places? Isn't that what you fixed in the previous iteration to improve the duplicate imports? And it said, yes, you're absolutely right. Come on, AI. And then it said, I created a different kind of duplication issue. Let me clarify what I did, blah, 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 blah. And this is where it's really important, where we don't listen to AI, because it's going to spin its wheels, and we're going to do this all day if we just listen to AI. So what's really important is to make tiny iterations and test it. This is what's going to save you in your debugging, because when you make a tiny isolated iteration, you as a human will know exactly the code that broke it, because it was only code that's related to that iteration, which is exactly what I told it. I said, I don't think you're on the correct path, homie or bro or whatever, because I'm kind of frustrated at this moment. This error occurred when I asked you to create a feature that saves the campaign name to the database early instead of waiting for the whole campaign to be set up. Do you think it's anything related to that code which you made, because now it might be trying to pull up data in a wrong way? And then it said, yeah, it always says I'm right. Like, I might tell it like the sky is green, and it will say, yeah, you were right. This is funny AI. This is like when AI tries to become your spouse instead of your code assistant. Saying, you're right, honey, you're always right. No, tell me when I'm wrong. So in any case, it actually debugged exactly this issue. It actually ended up loading that page just fine. This one here, campaign loading fixed, modify the component to only load campaign data from local storage on mount, no API calls, preventing premature database access during authentication. Okay, so premature database access during authentication sounds a little weird, because they should query database to check if the user is there. So that's a little strange, but it is referencing that the campaign name was getting queried before things were fully initialized and loaded, and that was causing the problem. And to be completely transparent, I'm a little confused still about exactly which of these issues, 1 or 2, is the exact fix, but it did end up working. So now when I go to this page on dashboard, see it, when I refresh, that's the page we were working on. It loads. And so if I create a campaign, save it to the database, it says it saved it. Now under my campaigns, you see that's the one that got saved. Perfect. So this functionality now works. So the takeaway here is, don't feel too good about yourself when the AI tells you you're right, because it almost always tells you you're right. But more importantly, create a little feature, test. Then if it works, create a little feature, test, little feature, test, little feature, test. Don't tell it to do a whole bunch of things unless it's like your first prompt to it, like create the initial website. But if you're just iterating on little features, little feature test, little feature test, because if it creates a problem and it confuses itself about how to fix it, especially if you're not deep inside the code, which it's hard to be, even if you're a programmer, you're going to have to trust it, and it's going to hallucinate to itself and tell you about its hallucinations, and the hallucinations will be plausible because that's how it fell for the hallucinations. So again, small changes, test, small changes, test, and that will really save you like it saved me here.